What if I told you that retiring at 55 is very possible, even though most people end up struggling in retirement and relying heavily on that state pension? The sad reality is that here in the UK, over 70% won't be able to maintain their standard of living in retirement. Even worse, 1 in 4 won't be able to afford their basic needs. But this doesn't have to be you. And using my 24 years of investing experience, I'm going to show you how anyone can retire early if they follow the simple steps I'm about to cover. My backstory. Before we start, I just want to tell you why I'm so passionate about this channel. It's because I was never taught about investing or personal finance at school, and I've had to learn the hard way over the last 24 years. I've literally spent years making mistake after mistake and being far too anxious about money. And I know that's the same for the vast majority. Let me give you a personal example of why investing is so important. At 18 years old, I invested £500 a month into a stocks and shares ISA for 6 months, but stopped and spent all of my money on a lad's holiday to Ibiza. Huge mistake. This was down to a lack of financial education. Now, let's say I was taught about things like compound interest at school. I know I would have invested from 18 to now, so that's a full 24 years. If I got average returns of 10%, that would mean I would be sat on £594,000. And looking at that huge amount, 450,000 is made up of interest earned. Fortunately, things have massively improved for me since 2019, and it's mainly because of a change in mindset and financial education. If you take the time to become financially literate, it leads to financial freedom. And as a little bonus, I'm going to give you my 5-step plan to retire early at the end of this video. Start with why. For me, my why is financial freedom, and that means spending more time with the people I love, doing what I love. I know exactly what that looks like. Basically, it's waking up as happy on a Monday morning as I am on a Friday afternoon. It's going on plenty of holidays with my family and friends. It's about experiences. It's about living stress-free with no money worries. And because it's my favourite sport, it's about rolling around with loads of men on the mats. For anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about, it's called BJJ. What about you? What's your why for wanting to retire at 55 or even earlier? Now I'm going to give you a very personal story of why I want to help other people with early retirement. It's why I've got this YouTube channel and why I've got a school community. On that note, if you want one-to-one support with investing, see below for the link. It pains me to say that I've seen too many people over the last 20 odd years struggling in retirement. Let me tell you about my dad. My dad isn't perfect, not even close, but I love him with everything I've got. And watching him struggle in his early 60s is painful to watch. He needs to work 6 or 7 days every week to build up his pension pot because he hasn't got enough saved for retirement. Not only that, but he needs to get 2 new knees, and he's finding work harder and harder. Looking back, my dad has had really good jobs and could have easily saved £500 a month over the last 30 years. Let's make some assumptions. If he'd have invested that money every single month into the S&P 500 with an average return of 10%, he would have ended up with over £1.1 million. He would have been retired 100%. He didn't invest, and the main reason is zero financial education. This is another example of the importance of investing into assets ASAP. If you're like me, you will have seen friends and family retire too late, and then the health goes, or the partner gets sick, or they simply run out of energy. It's brutal, and I'm sick of seeing it time and time again. They saved, they sacrificed, they followed the rules, and they got robbed by time. When you look at the stats, rise in mental health issues among men, skyrocketing heart disease rates post 55, no one is promised tomorrow. So for me, the earlier we all retire, the better. Or have financial freedom so we can choose and live life on our own terms. Personally, I don't want 2 weeks a year to live. I want to go on holiday 3 or 4 holidays a year, even more. Before we carry on, this video doesn't contain any financial advice, and the full disclaimer can be found below in the description. The early retirement plan. I'm going to imagine you are 35 and you're aiming to retire at 55. So with that in mind, here is your step-by-step plan to retire in just 20 years. Let's put it all together. Step 1, set your goal figure. How much you want per year in retirement. multiply it by 25. For example, if you want to earn 50,000 per year using the 4% rule, you would need a retirement pot of £1.25 million. This might sound like a huge amount to save in just 20 years. Just try and bear with me. The process is more important than the numbers. And once the penny drops, you find a way to invest. Then, as your income increases, in theory, over the years, you can increase your monthly investments. Step 2, choose your account. Open a stocks and shares ISA and or a SIP. This way you are being tax efficient. All I would say is really focus on financial education, and then you will find a way to avoid paying tax as much as possible, legally of course. On that note, see below and you'll find a recent video where I give you more info on how us investors can be tax efficient in the UK. But you also need to think about what platform. So you could use the Vanguard platform and invest inside your ISA on that particular platform. With platforms, you need to be mindful of the fees involved. Money Saving Expert compares the fees. And again, I'll leave the link below. Step 3, pick your funds. Go with low cost index funds. Automate monthly contributions. And if you want to know what I've been investing into since 2019, type yes below. And if you want some more options to consider, again, see below for a recent video where I give you 5 index funds to consider. Step 4, track your progress. Use a spreadsheet or an app. Watch your income and your portfolio grow. One of the many benefits of low-cost index funds is that you only really check your fund maybe once or twice a year, which means zero stress. Step 5, stay consistent. Ignore the noise. Don't try to time the market. Just keep going. This is how thousands are retiring in their 40s and 50s with peace of mind, financial security and total freedom. This is the simple way to retire in just 20 years. Let me go back to step 1 to find out how much you would need to invest each month to end up with 1.25 million after just 20 years. Putting the figures into a compound interest calculator, you would need to invest £1,666 each month. So you could do this in your ISA or your SIP. Not easy, but definitely worth it. And you might need less than 50,000 per year to retire comfortably, which means you don't have to invest quite as much. We're all different as investors. The info in this video is just to give you a simple plan. Now, if this is all going over your head, you can join my free investing community on School. Again, see below for the link. There are loads of ways you can retire by the age of 55. You can use index funds, property, individual stocks. You might use a mix of index investing and property. This video is just to give you an idea of what I see as the most simple way to retire early. Why investing matters so much. As I've said, I've seen too many people suffer. I've seen what happens when people don't invest, when they don't plan, when they put off retirement thinking they've got plenty of time. When I mention financial education or early retirement to friends and family, they switch off. And it does frustrate me because I know what will happen if they don't start investing and if they don't start thinking about retirement, ideally early retirement. And that's why I care so much. That's why I do what I do on this channel, because it doesn't have to be this way. Anyone can start investing, anyone can retire early if they stop waiting for permission and start building a plan. You don't need a fancy spreadsheet or a financial advisor charging you 1% a year or more. You need to know what enough looks like and start investing in index funds now. This is your starting point. You need to think long term, keep costs low, prioritize investing at the start of each month. And you need to realize this, your time is the most valuable asset you'll ever own. Summary. I've given you a bit of my background. Then it was all about starting with your why. I've given you the simple plan for early retirement, why investing matters so much, and after all that, here's my question for you. Are you planning your retirement or early retirement, or do you think YOLO and you maybe think about it later on in life? Because the longer you wait, the fewer options you're going to have. But if you start today, even with small amounts, the future opens up fast. If you're in your 20s or 30s, you could retire at 50. If you're in your 40s, 55 is still possible. I've given you a simple plan to retire early, but if you want more info, like exactly how to invest and what to invest into, I've just published a new playlist on this channel called How to Retire Early, Step by Step, made up of 5 easy to follow videos and importantly gives you all the info you need to retire early. All I would say is to watch the videos in order and take some notes, otherwise you're not learning and you probably won't invest your way to early retirement.